So first things first, obviously we need a carcass, but we also need a stock pot. Really all we have to do for a bone broth, obviously we need some bones. Typically, I like to keep a bag of bones in my freezer so that as I'm cooking throughout the week, whatever, I'm adding bones into that bag so they're getting saved over time. And then once I usually have about 2 chickens worth of bones is when I go ahead and make some broth. So start out with the bones in the bottom. It's fine if they're uncooked. Sometimes I will actually just go ahead and put this on the stove on like a medium-high heat and let some of that cook out, let that fat render out of the chicken, get the skin crisped up, build some of that flavor, the fond on the bottom of the pan. And then I go in with all of my vegetables. So typically I like to go with about 2, 3, sometimes 4 onions, some carrots and some parsnips. This is also a really good opportunity to use some of those vegetables that have maybe been forgotten in the crisper drawer and are kind of not super great to roast or use in other ways, but are still full of a lot of nutrition and other benefits that you want to get from them. So some carrots, of course, some garlic. I like to just chop these straight in half so that we've got lots of garlic exposed on the inside. Throw them in there. And I also like to add a pretty good amount of salt and pepper. A lot of people will tell you to not add salts to your broth so that you're not adding additional salt to whatever you're using. Whatever you're cooking once you've made the bone broth and are putting it in there. I find that unsalted broth is just not great, and adding the salt in also helps to really pull out a lot of the flavor from what we're using here. So once I get all of that into the pot, I'm going to cover it with water and I'm going to set it on a low heat on the stove for about 24 hours. And one more thing that you want to add is like a pretty good glug of apple cider vinegar. This helps to pull out all of the collagen, more of the minerals, and really extract the nutrients from the bones. So I cook mine on the stove for 24 hours. I know that sounds kind of crazy to people and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't leave my stove running for 24 hours. Like, what if something happens? But I don't do it when I'm not there. Like, part of the time I'll be there and obviously part of the time I'll be sleeping because I usually start this at night so that it's ready the following dinner night. But I kind of just keep an eye on it. Sometimes I'll add in some extra water if I find that it's boiling down a lot and make sure I'm just keeping an eye on whatever the heat is at. But once it's done, I just strain it off, put it into some jars like this, and I will just go ahead and put canning lids and rings on them, even though it's not traditionally sealed, and this is not food safe to keep in the pantry at all when sealed like this. But when it's hot, it will still create a vacuum sealed effect, and I find that it keeps it good enough long in the fridge that I can actually get through it before something has gone bad with any of it. That's pretty important to me because you don't want to waste this. It's literally liquid gold. Another great way to use it is I actually freeze it into ice blocks, like ice cubes. I have some smaller ones and bigger ones. The bigger ones I'll use for making like a base for a soup if I want. And then the smaller ones I actually use to cool down soups and stews and other things like that. So I'm not actually watering it down. I'm making it more delicious. I think that's everything. Bone broth is really customizable to whatever your flavor preferences are. If you really like mushrooms, those are great to add in. Really any vegetable scraps or peels. I also will keep a bag of onion and garlic skins in my freezer and just pick from those as I need, add them into my broth. I will caution you, don't add too many onion skins because it will kind of give it a very earthy flavor that can be off-putting, but those onion skins are full of a lot of minerals too, and that helps give your stock a really nice deep flavor.